Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to our weekly Going from Chaos to Calm, Unblocking Your Path to Wealth episode. I'm so excited about today. I have one of my good sister friends who is going to share with us. But before we get into it, let's get into this. I'm your girl, Saran. I'm your financial guide. I help women go from chaos to calm with their finances so they can have a better life, helping you to find ways to reduce unknowingly and unnecessarily wasting money in places you don't want to waste it. So here we go. In this show, we dig deep into the spiritual, mental, and the reality of our finances, as well as our well being. So, I'm here to show you the way to navigate the twists and turns. And I bring in some of my special guests who are also here to help you navigate the twists and turns. So sit back, relax, get a pen, get a paper, grab yourself some tea or some wine if that's your preference. But let's dig in and have this conversation this week because it's so important that we come together to master our money and master our mind so that we can unblock our own path to wealth. So don't be shy. Say hello in the comments. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe so that other women like you can find out more about what we do. And if you are looking for a community of women like yourself where you can grow and leverage your finances, your mental, and your spiritual growth, then join my community, Unblocking Your Path to Wealth on Facebook. It's also listed as Sister Sense, but I would love for you to join us there. So, as with every week, I always like to start off with an affirmation. Why? Because if we don't retrain our minds, we'll always be thinking the same things we always thought and get the same things we thought we could get and stay in the wrong place, right? One of the big things that resonated with me as I spent the weekend with some of my financial super friends working on ways to create wealth and ways to train the community to create wealth is we have to ask ourselves better questions so we can get better answers. If we keep asking ourselves the same question the same way, the same time when something happens, then we're always going to get the same answer and we may not be moved to the place where we need to be. So before we go any further, this week's affirmation, and I will put it in the chat as I always do, is I am worthy of love and open to giving and receiving it with ease. I love that. And that was like a random affirmation. Usually I sit down, I meditate on it, and I ain't gonna lie, I'll use a little chat GTP too to see what the affirmation is gonna be. But this week I used some cards that I have from one of my spiritual friends. I said, let's see what comes out. And I just pulled it out. And it's so perfect for the conversation that we're having today with our wonderful guests. So before we get to the guests, I like to tell a quick story just to get you in the mood. A little foreplay to get you in the mood to talk about money. But the story I had, I'm not going to tell you because I'm not gonna lie, I worked myself up emotionally right before we got on live. Why I did that at 8:05 p.m. and I go live at 8:30? But I was going through my voice notes and I was looking to make sure I had recorded something because I was doing a financial class right before this. I mean, I'm in finance. That don't mean I take finance classes all the time. So I was in a financial class and I was looking for something else. So I clicked on this note that I had recorded for myself maybe 6 months ago. And I'm going to tell you what the note said. Basically, I'm actually going to probably post it as a full reel, but I'm going to tell you what the note was. It was a reminder to myself that the importance of recognize who you are and who you are here to become. And I was referencing it's one of the kids movies or kids shows essentially, but I love those still kind of watch kids stuff because here's the deal. There's always messages in it and the messages are even bigger for you as an adult. And it was the show was called The Last Airbender. And if you're not familiar with it, there's a movie, there's a series, there's a whole bunch. But essentially, just to give you some background on it, essentially it's about a little boy and gets frozen in time. But his job was to create balance in the whole world. But he got scared when somebody told him what his destiny was, and he ran from his destiny. And in that running, he got frozen in time for 100 years. And his job was to master all the elements of the earth. It's a kid movie, so it's got all the stuff, it got all the layers. But if you're spiritual like me, you understand you still got to master the elements. So his job was to master earth, air, fire, and water. That was his job. He was supposed to be the one person on the entire planet that could master all these things. But he ran and he got stuck. And so when he woke up, if you will, he was in a place, he was still a little boy, and everything around him had changed. Everybody had grown up, everybody was adults, and the whole world itself had shifted. But he was still this little boy, and he was still expected to fulfill his purpose and his destiny as the Avatar, or as the last airbender, who it was his job to save the world. And throughout his journey, in this particular movie, this wasn't the whole series, there's a whole series, but this was the movie. But throughout his journey in the movie, he dealt with so many things that we all deal with today. Who am I to be the person that's supposed to save the world? He was an imposter in his own life. How am I supposed to master all this? I'm just a little boy. He didn't think he could do it. He had so much self-doubt. But it is so representative of many of us walking around as adults, but the little boy or the little girl inside of us is still scared, but still trying to figure out how to navigate in this big world and still master the things that we came here to do. And in the story, as he goes on, he builds the confidence, he goes forward. And as he's mastering these 4 elements, the one element that they don't name it as an element, but the one element that he doesn't have to master, but he can always tap into when he really needs it, is his spirit, and his powerful spirit that lives within him. And he can tap into the wisdom that is already embodied into him, that had been passed down through generations and generations of those who came before him. Just like us, if we decide to tap into the generational power that's within our genes, that's been passed down through our mothers and our forefathers, we can really just go to the next level if we take the time to be quiet enough to tap into that. And so I say all that to say, it's important for us to be able to tap into that spirit. And so it makes total sense that today we're going to be talking about burnout bliss. And because I know our guest so well, I know we're going to be talking about tapping into the power in our spirit and getting us back to a place of peace. But I wanted to share that little story with you because there's so many lessons to be learned. And the lessons really are, we are who we already come here with a destination and a purpose or purposes. Don't get lost in thinking that it's just one big purpose. Your purpose could be daily. Your purpose could be buying the lunch for the person at work who didn't tell you they didn't have money to buy lunch. Just as simple as that. Our purpose could be, and also tapping into the greater spirit that's within us, that is more powerful than the mind that we think we have. But the spirit within us has hundreds and hundreds of years of wisdom. And the third thing is that all the wealth that we are looking for outside of us already lives within us. We already own it because we came here with the gifts to do what we need to do to generate and become or do the things that will bring those things to us. So anyway, that's my story today. Those are my lessons today. And but I wanted to make sure that I shared that. And the other story that I had planned to tell y'all, I'll tell y'all that next week. But I want to get to our wonderful guest. I'm going to bring her up. And I told her we're going to be twins today because I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see her. But this is the wonderful Dr. Neema Moore. I can't say too many words about her, but I will say this. She is an amazing woman. I don't know how she does it because she is a chiropractor. She is a speaker. She is an Amazon bestselling author. She is a a business owner outside of that. She travels the world, which personally I'm trying to stalk her and go over where she's going, but we're
Yes,
going to talk about that later.
yes.
And she actually invited me, so I'm going to probably go. Uh, but she's also someone who is passionate about women and building women. And I'll let her say more about herself. But these are the things that I know about her. And so I was excited when she said yes, when I asked her to come to talk to our community. And I want you to bring your voice into the room. So, Dr. Neema, say hello to the people.
Hi everyone. I am so excited to be here. I feel like we need to just pass the collection plate at this point on what Saran just said. It was so good, and I was just thinking about, we do think the purpose is something that's just like, this is my one purpose.
Right.
And not thinking about that we have many purposes, MINI, all every day
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we are to do, whether it's like you said, buying someone's lunch, whether it's help to giving somebody a ride to work, or lending an encouraging word, or helping someone through a grieving process. So thank you, Saran, just for that reminder, because honestly, I never heard anyone say that. So that's a golden nugget. I have not ever heard anyone ever say that. So
Really?
no, I haven't. And we all listen to a lot of personal development things, but no one ever said it like that. And that's just a testament to continuing to grow and having your
Mhm.
ears open, because sometimes things hit you at different places in your life,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're open to different conversations. So some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, you all may have heard before, you may not have ever heard, but let me back up a little bit. My name is Dr. Neema Moore. I'm a chiropractor, speaker, Amazon bestselling author, and I love to help women to become confident and healthy from the inside out. And I do that through my chiropractic care, which I have an office in Woodbridge, Virginia. I do that through speaking. I also do that through wellness opportunities for women that I have in the office. And everyone's favorite, like it's the fan favorite,
It's
my
my favorite.
my wellness retreats and experiences that are here locally as well as internationally. I love to bring women into a safe space for them to take their cape off.
Yeah.
How many of us, are just going, going, going? We've got the day job, we've got the night job, we've got kids, big kids, we got little kids, we got fur babies. It's a lot going on. And women are always nurturers. And so people come to us all the time, whether it's on the job, it's a family member, it's a mom, it's a niece or nephew. It's always someone that is pulling on us. So I hope some of the things we talk about tonight can help you all to look at things differently, or reach out and get the help you need.
Listen, I love it because the irony of it all is I'm on a travel spree and I came home today. I said, I'm tired. So today I'm going to talk about burnout bliss. I'm going to just go to bed right now because I'm a little bit tired today.
Yes, you are on a
But
travel blitz right now.
but I'm excited about it because it's something that I always want to do, is to
Yeah,
move around more and do different things. But and I
sure.
also want to talk to great people, right? And learn from them. And like you said, you had never heard the purpose before. And one of my friends, one of my spiritual mentors during the pandemic, and he shared that with me, Indra Ali, and he said, we overwhelm ourselves, and he calls us as human beings. That's how he talks. As human beings, thinking that you gotta always chase after this big purpose. What if
Right.
today your purpose was just to get up and
Mm,
make the bed and keep and straighten up the house? What
mm,
if that was it? Would
mm.
that be so bad? What if your purpose was just to make sure that maybe you were the person who got outside and caught your neighbor's dog from getting hit by a car? Not big, but
Mhm,
big. And
mhm.
so that allowed me during the pandemic, when things were kind of all over the place and we all trying to figure out what I'm gonna do now, because some sitting in the house, some overworking. I
Right,
mean, because I think we don't give enough focus when it comes to the pandemic about the people who did have to work 12 and 14 hours to
right,
keep things going. And it wasn't, and of course, our medical professionals, but it was also people working in a lot of the government offices, providing the services and the grants and all the things that while many of us were safe at home, people still had to go out and risk their lives and be in the office. And it wasn't the shootout risk, but we all know what the risks were involved in that. So, but when we talk about this, and I know there was a time in my life when I know I was absolutely burned. I mean, I know like today I'm just tired. I know it's not burnout. I know I'm just tired today. But what do you feel like are some of the early signs for burnout for people that they overlook, right? Because like you said, moms, we're out here running the street. Even if you're just a rich auntie, you're still busy doing stuff. You're probably still a fur mom or a cat mom or whatever. Nothing wrong with fur moms. Just
that's right.
Let the government people know, we still vote.
That's right. That's right.
But what are some quick things that you feel like you can say, hey, you know what, I might be heading towards it. Maybe I need to do 1, 2, 3 to bring myself back before it becomes that major issue where maybe you gotta go lay on the couch, or they put you out of work for a burnout, or things like, I'm talking severe. There's so many people that we'll just consider them the walking burnouts, right? Or like the Walking Dead, like the show. It doesn't matter what we do to try to wake them up to their burnout. They're just not gonna wake up. But the people watching this show will wake up. So give us some ideas.
So, I love talking about burnout because I think so many of us, especially in the United States, we fall into this category. So actually, there's some personality types that are more susceptible to burnout.
Don't be describing my personality type either. I did not come on here for you to describe my personality.
They're not. And usually this is the woman that comes on my retreats and comes to my experiences because I'm her too. But number one, burnout, the person who's most susceptible. And first of all, let me say this. There's a difference between being burnt out and being stressed out. Stressed out is, you might feel tired for a short amount of time. You might just need a little bit of a break. Your emotions might be overreactive. Sometimes you're moving around a lot and sometimes you're not. But burnout is more like when you really feel consistent loss of energy. You're leading towards anxiety disorders. Your health is really starting to suffer, like the high blood pressure, the hair falling out, eczema. These are some of the signs. But the most prone person to, and this is going to hit a lot of people, to having burnout is an ambitious and driven person.
See, this is what I'm going to hang this podcast up right now.
This is the person, that's the first step right there.
Okay.
If you are ambitious and driven, you are the most typical person to be susceptible to burnout because you really want to be successful. You want to make a difference. You want to stand out. And so that is so many of us. I'm sure the people that watch you, Saran, are like us. So we're very prone to burning out because we want to be successful. We want to make a difference in the world. We want to stand out. Sometimes we want to be seen. Sometimes it's a person who wants to be famous. But that's the most susceptible person. There are actually 12 stages to burnout. I'm just going to talk about maybe the first 3. Okay. And then I'll talk about some solutions to burnout overall. But that's number 1, is that the first stage is that you're just ambitious. You get the new job, you get the good government job, especially in the DMV, or you get the great corporate job, or you open your own business and you're like, yes, this is it. It's time for me to be successful and nothing is going to stand in my way. So that's stage number 1. Just having those thoughts. Stage number 2 is pushing yourself to work harder. You believe that, this is the way to achieve my goal and success, is that I need to work harder. I need to work longer hours. I need to show up and say yes to a lot of things. I need to show up early. I need to stay late. And this happens in so many different professions, right? Like whether you're a teacher, whether you are an administrator, whether you are in corporate or you own your own business, you're like, this is going to happen. I'm going to make myself successful. And then what starts to happen is number 3, is that stage 3, you start to neglect your personal needs.
Yeah.
You're not taking care of your personal needs. You're not making doctor's appointments. You're not going to the chiropractor. You're not Maybe, you're not getting your hair done. You're not just doing things that are, and I consider that maintenance, right? Like just literally like taking care of your nails or those type of things, and, going to the doctor. That's maintenance. You start to neglect your personal needs. And number four, I won't go through all of them, but it's blaming others, displacement of conflict, right? You start to blame others for your problems. You're blowing up at them. We've seen the people. They're at the grocery store. We've seen them at the office. But these are some of the first stages of burnout. So if you find yourself in these first four stages, there's 12, there's more, with the 12th stage being true burnout. I'm talking about when we hear someone has had a nervous breakdown. So we use the term very loosely in America about, oh, I'm burnt out. But when I talk about the 12 stages of burnout, and if you want all of the stages, at the end, just shoot me a message and I'll send them to you so that you can see where you are. Is that the 12th stage is that true burnout, that, oh, you heard that superstar had to be hospitalized for exhaustion.
Right.
That's where we don't want to go.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like some of it sounds apropos to depression as well. I feel like that may
Absolutely.
be in there in those middle stages somewhere too.
Towards stage number 9.
Okay.
Stage number 11. I'm sorry, stage number 11. So there's some other stuff that comes before it. And then, yes, that final stage is depression, when you really feel hopeless and depressed, and it goes on for weeks, not just days, but weeks, and that you don't seek help.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of our women, especially in the African American community, probably been walking around for years with some level of depression and just kind of trying to get it done, right? And trying to be all things to everybody, right? All the things to all the people. And and I can relate, like as you were talking, I'm like, man, that sounds like,
of course.
That's not, wait, am I doing that? I got a little checklist in my head. Am I doing that? Nah. Because I don't show up early. I get there when I get there. And I'm gone by 5:30.
Boundaries. Right. We'll talk about that. Yes,
and I'm here, just like I told, like normally on Monday nights, I'll work till 10, 11 at home to kind of finish up podcast stuff and get ready for next week and all that. But I said I was tired when I got home. And when I'm done talking to you tonight, I'm going to go to my bed without hesitation. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But just recognizing that I don't want to push myself so far, even in the midst of a busy life, I can still take the time to set things aside.
Absolutely.
And so, and that leads me to like my next question. Like, so, and I actually saw this. I was listening to somebody today, but it was, what is something practical that people can do to kind of prevent it, and still, I mean, I just kind of gave you one of mine, but and still, work the high pressure job, still be ambitious business owner, still be all the things in the community, still, pursue, here we got all the women I know are in at least 3 community organizations and active in their churches and running aside something, or their kids are running aside something, or they're running to the games, or it's just a lot to be done. But like, what are some practical tips, for us women who are living a high intensity life?
It's what you just said. It's a lot of times we think something is super complicated. It is truly that you need to take time to rest and recover. You need to schedule time off. And after you get so busy, you don't have time. Right. You have to make time. Because when people say, I don't have time, you're right, you don't have time. So you actually have to make time. You have to schedule things that you enjoy on the calendar. You have to schedule time off. You have to schedule time to rest and recharge, even if it's a short amount of time. I went to my girlfriend's, you met her, actually. I went to Kenya in Charlotte, and it was just a weekend. It was her birthday, but I got to be by myself. I got to get up. No one asked me, like, I didn't have to worry about fixing anybody breakfast. And I remember when I came back, I felt so rejuvenated. I was only gone 2 days. Like, I was not even gone long, but
Felt like 2 months.
it felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, we went to a soccer game. We went to a great restaurant. It was so good for my spirit. So I want to encourage you to, this is why I created the retreats. Because I know women need a break. And I know sometimes in your head, obviously my retreats are a little more luxury style. They can be a little bit a higher investment. But a lot of times we spend money on so many different things that if you plan something out, you can actually make it happen. We're going to be going to Bali in November. I cannot wait to take a group to Bali. It's life-changing. I go to Aruba every year. I just got back. Well, I don't even know when. Last week. I just got back last week.
I was talking to you.
I am so fired up just from that because I was able to rest.
Yeah.
I was able to rest. So I'm encouraging you to take those mini vacations. It doesn't always have to be out of the country. It can be at the lake. It can be, like I said, I flew to Charlotte. Like it was an hour. It wasn't that big of a deal. Right. It wasn't on a beach, but it was about just me enjoying myself. So those are some practical things. Find some things that make you happy. Sometimes it's sitting by the lake and writing in your journal because you've actually invested in yourself. That's depositing into yourself. Like, I'm just going to take an hour to invest in me. So it doesn't always have to be an expensive $1,000 of trip. It can be something very small. And I'm going to recommend that you don't take these every quarter. Oh, I took a day off, or I got I got a massage once this year. I'm talking about you need to be doing something I would love every day, but for sure every week.
Yeah.
So that's
what?
Easy.
I love that because here's one thing, I had to learn as someone who recovered from burnout. And it was one of the big things I learned was I do something every day. And it's simple. Like even like today before we got on, right before I made myself emotionally vulnerable and listened to my own audio note to get on live, I said, you know what? You haven't lit any candles or any incense today. So I went and I said, let me take 60 seconds. It took me to light the candles and incense. I had to change one out because it was all burned down. I lit it. I allowed myself to, and I wasn't even doing it. It wasn't even 5 minutes. Just did it. I left the incense burning. So now it's a lavender incense. So as I'm talking to you, I have the lavender incense going into my lungs. So I will go to sleep very quickly as planned. But it's something that now I kept an agreement with myself that when I came home from work, I was going to take at least 5 to 10 minutes to do that. And it's one of the things that I challenge myself to continue to build trust with myself again as I go through my adult life, right? And that's some of the things that I talk to women about too, because a lot of times I find they have issues with money because they don't have any trust with themselves. And so they push themselves, they get burnt out. And now the only solution they have is retail therapy, or the only solution they have is they're too tired to cook or do all the things that they need to do. So now we're at the fast food, or we're at the delivery food. I don't like the name of the delivery food places that are higher in sodium and sugar. And now it's impacting our health. And then we're tired from that because that stuff's processed in the body. We're too tired to get up and go walk in the morning or go to the gym. And so I found that it's like a cyclical thing. And so for me, it's like, all right, did I keep a commitment that I said to myself? And just the one thing of lighting the candle, lighting the incense, letting it, I got to water the plants too. That's what the plants are. Water the plants, right? It's like, oh, you said you were going to do it. You did it. Now that's one little checkbox on the build trust with self, right? And I find that reduces my stress. And even yesterday when I came home from traveling, you know how you always say, as soon as I get home, I'm going to unpack my bag. I'm going to put this stuff in the laundry. I'm going to empty the bag and I'm going to put it away. Well, yesterday I did it.
Oh.
It felt And then I went to bed. I put all the stuff in the washer, hit on, and went on about the rest of my day. And it felt good because I did exactly what I said I was going to do for me. And I didn't delay. I didn't let some excuse get in the way. So I think that, that's my personal, experience with it. And the other one was texting you to send me the link so I can go to Bali. So I'm gonna try to take it out before I go to bed. But in your experience, what do you feel like the long-term consequences could be to ignoring burnout as it creeps in, or as it, is thrust upon us, if you will?
I think some of the long-term effects are definitely depression. And a lot of things when it even comes to mental health and physical health, like if you stay there too long, it's hard to get out, right? Like depression, if you stay there, and I'm not saying everyone is like that, but a lot of times if we stay in that spot so long, it's hard to climb out, right? Because now you've got months that you've been depressed, or years. And of course, physical and emotional collapse, I think where your relationships suffer. Which is even more damaging, right? Like with our loved ones, with our significant other, at work, we're not as productive, obviously, or we don't have those relationships. And so you do feel lonely. No one wants to feel lonely, which also sends us into depression. So I think it's one of those things that, one thing will lead to the next thing. You start to feel lonely. You start to have inner emptiness. And I'm actually listing some of the stages now. You actually go into depression. And being a chiropractor, it shows up in your body.
Oh, tell us how that, tell me how that shows up.
So it shows up, number one, it shows up as low back pain. There is a direct correlation between stress, being upset, and having low back pain. So low back pain is one of those things where it's like, one of the top things that people suffer from around the world is low back pain. But definitely low back pain can come from being, under stress or being burnt out, just aches and pains, migraines, headaches that are unexplainable. But one of the biggest things is when patients come to my office and they have all these things wrong. Like, my stomach is bothering me, I have headaches, I have a rash, and I went to the doctor and they said there's nothing. And so that's when we have to start diving into lifestyle. That's when we have to start diving into stress, because that is one of the things that no one can fix for you. Like, your doctor can't fix you being stressed out. There's nothing they can do for that.
Well, I want to ask this question because I don't feel like when you go to regular medical doctors that they even take into account all the things, if you will. It's like, oh, there's nothing on the MRI. There's nothing in your blood. There's nothing here. And they don't always say, well, maybe you're stressed, or maybe you should get counseling. If they do, it's maybe you should take a pill to solve it.
Right.
It's not necessarily, hey, let's unravel some things going on and maybe find a way to move things forward. And it's funny because I was talking to a young lady a couple of weeks ago, because I have low back pain, right? So some of that's from my car. Some of it's still healing pain from the car accident. You like my words, I know you do.
Yeah.
It's still healing pains from the car accident, and because I'm going to the gym, right? But she said to me, she said, Saran, sometimes our low back pain can also show up as you just not asking for support. And so your body in your root, which is what the bottom of your spine, is saying, hey, you need more support. So I'm going to signal you until you get it, if you will. And I think more now than previously, because we have so much access to information, I feel like people are now asking better questions medically, because I know many people who say, oh yeah, I go to the chiropractor. I ask my chiropractor before I go to the doctor. Because there's so many things that connect in that, especially in that spine, because that really is to not go too deep, that really is the cord of life right there in that spine. Everything is there. That spine can change things. But how do you feel like, what do you think is the best way for people to kind of shift from burnout or start the process to go from burnout to bliss?
Well, I think if you really feel like you've been in that long stage, let me say this, of depression, I do think sometimes you need professional help. Sometimes
Mhm,
it's therapy. Sometimes it's, especially for women, we keep a lot of things inside.
mhm.
We don't talk about things that maybe have happened, and we don't voice, we're taught to be nice, right? Smile and be nice. And so we keep so many things inside. So if you do find yourself feeling like you've been suffering for, months and then the weeks are going by, seek that professional help,
Mhm.
find out ways to, find a professional that can actually help you. And I think finding, like I said, finding your joy, creating boundaries. You heard Saran just say about, when I get home, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. That's also making promises to yourself, but setting boundaries around your sleep time,
Mhm.
setting boundaries around when you're going to stop work. So many people, like including myself, we work late into the night because we have a laptop and we can just keep working. Uh,
Keep working and
we can
keep
just keep
working.
working. So I think it's important for us to set those boundaries. And I'm trying to give you little things that you can start with today, which is setting boundaries, saying no to some things, getting some things off your plate, and re-examining why are you doing certain things.
Oh my
Like,
God.
why are you, okay, I sat, we had a chiropractic like mini convention here in DC. And one of the ladies was like, show me how to get, 1 million followers. She didn't say 1 million, but she was like, I want this amount of followers. And the marketing person said, why do you want those followers? And what are you going to do with them? Like, what is the reason? And so I think sometimes we need to ask ourselves, why are we doing what we're doing? Is it for fame? Is it to be noticed? Is it to satisfy something inside of us, the little child inside of us that we're
Mhm.
trying to make up for something? Are we trying to prove ourselves? And so
And who are you trying to prove yourself to?
right, right.
Because sometimes, not to cut you off, sometimes we're still trying to prove ourselves to that disapproving mother or that disapproving
Absolutely.
father or that teacher who talk crazy to us, or not all teachers, but you get the gist.
Yes,
Or some invisible person that doesn't exist anymore, but we haven't stopped to question why we're still moving in that direction so hard and so fast.
exactly.
And if we answer the question, you might say, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. Right.
Exactly.
And I'll
Ex-
give a personal example. I know for many years, I didn't have the greatest relationship with my mom. Well, let's just call it a buck. It was a toxic relationship, right?
Mhm,
And I know growing up, many times I was trying to prove that I was not like her. I was
mhm,
not going to be like her. Not only that, I was going to be better than her. And I proved that hands down a million different ways, right?
mhm, mhm,
And when I came to a place of healing with that relationship,
mhm,
my mom's been deceased almost 30 years, right? But when
mhm.
I came to a point of healing with it, I sat with myself and I was like, well, there's nobody, who am I racing against now?
Mhm, mhm.
It was like when I identified what that drive was, I was trying to prove that I was bigger, better, faster than, or, overcome the stigmas of it. And when I look back, when I realized, I was like, oh, now, hmm, now what? Now what am I going to do? Right. And so
Mhm.
then I had to find something positive to drive me forward and find something that wasn't so necessarily, whatever it was. Right. But to find another way to still bring my light and my fire to the world because it still existed without, and it not being so toxic for me internally.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I think we don't think about that thing, right? Until we do. And if we're able to heal it, then it's well, I'm done now. What's my purpose?
Right.
And that's the interesting, and that's where I got that first part was, you know what? My purpose is not always big. My purpose is, if today were my last day on earth, did I do everything today that I could do in my life that I said I was going to do?
Mm,
It doesn't mean did I meet the big thing. It doesn't mean did I save the world. Did I put a cape on and save the world? But did I do my best today in this moment in time where we have? Because if we look at the world as there's no real past and there's no real future, because you can't travel to either one, you only have right now. So did I do what I could do right now in the now? And if my answer is yes, I go to sleep
mhm.
for the day. It's like, all right, good night.
That's right.
But so let me ask you this question, and I always ask my guests this just because this is a financial conversation.
Yeah,
And I know that burnout counts in a financial conversation, because guess what? If you burn out and you can't go to work, you can't make no money.
that's right.
If you
That's
can't make
right.
no money and you haven't got everything in order, guess what? You won't have none. So I always ask my guests this because this helps people to connect. And that is, can you share maybe something in your life where maybe you had a financial challenge or setback that you faced, and that you feel like you learned some lessons from that the audience can benefit from?
Sure, absolutely. So, prior to moving to the DMV, I went through a divorce. I have two children. They're twins. At the time, they were very small, so I had my own practice, and I was going through a divorce. So I had to begin to go from a two-income household to a one-income household that had to figure out how to pay for two places, right? Like I had to pay for my office and I had to pay for where I was staying, uh,
Hmm.
which was very, very challenging. And so I really had to think about, there were some times where I had to have a conversation with my landlord of the office and say, like, listen, this is what's going on. And I'm gonna tell you what I learned from that situation that I have used ongoing, as well as I have told other people who maybe come to me and say, I really need money for this, or I don't have enough money for this. I tell people, keep the conversation open with your collectors. It's important for you, especially when we're talking about things like rent, or I mean, obviously sometimes you don't always get enough money to stop a decision that ends up being made. But keeping that conversation open, especially, having good intention with trying to pay it off, paying something on it, making those good intentions on those payments, it makes a difference. And it makes a difference with your landlords. It makes a difference with bill collectors. That was one of the things that I learned, and I just would have conversations with people, and with the intention as well as doing what I said I was going to do. So I would say that, as well as just remembering that abundance really surrounds you. That I had to
Mm-hmm.
realize as I look back on that time. It was very, very stressful as I thought about how am I going to do this and how am I going to pay for this. It was stressful. I had two small children. They were 8 years old at the time. And I had no family around, like
Mm-hmm.
none. And so I really had to figure out everything for myself. And I would just say, continue to keep your eyes open. There is so many abundant ways, even more so. Look, I did have a cell phone, but now, things are just abundant on Instagram, and there's so many different ways
Mm-hmm.
to make money. So many different ways to make
So
money.
many.
So I would just say, just remember that abundance does surround you, and
Mm-hmm.
that there's so many different ways to make up for lost income, or have a side hustle over here that allows you to supplement during some hard times. And also, like, don't be too big to do something that you need to do. Sometimes people are like, oh, I won't do that, or I won't. I had a girlfriend who was like, I need to go work at Walmart. I need to do DoorDash. Don't be afraid to do those things if it means temporarily that it brings extra income into your household.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that advice. And it's something that we talk about here all the time is, digging in, doing things non-traditionally, and taking a chance on yourself to move yourself forward.
Mhm.
So um, I want to know, as well as the audience wants to know, how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. Well, I would love to connect with you all. First, let me say that I love meeting new people. If there's any way I can help you, if you'd like to know the rest of the steps, if you're interested in a luxury experience, like I said, Bali and Aruba is coming up. If you live in the DMV, I've got all kinds of goodies. I'm having a winery event I would love to invite you to, but you can find me on all platforms at Dr. Neema DC. So that's just DR, my first name, Neema, and D as in dog, C as in cat for Doctor of Chiropractic at the end. And that's on Insta. I hang out on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Yeah. I
Oh,
love
and I have
it.
a website. You can go to my website, which is www.doctor spelled out Neema.com. DrNeema.com.
I put it in the chat.
Okay, awesome.
And I want to know more about the winery event. I want you to be more specific about the
Yes.
winery event in October in Virginia and invite people.
Oh my gosh. So this was my first event that I ever did. And Bluemont Winery is in Bluemont, Virginia, in the mountains. This winery specifically is on top of a mountain. On a clear day, you can see to Washington, D.C. It's absolutely stunning. The view is stunning and gorgeous. This is an event that I have for women to come out to take some time out for themselves. And this is such a special event. Every time women leave, they just feel like their life has changed. They feel like they've gotten a mini vacation in 3 hours, because number one, they're out in nature. It's just beautiful. It's during the fall. It's October 19th. It's in the morning. We have a delicious brunch. We connect with each other. We connect with ourselves. We have a releasing ceremony where we throw all of our worries off the edge of the mountain. But it's just a special time for you to get some clarity, for you to connect with other like-minded women. There's great networking that goes on in the room because the women that come they play high level. They have amazing connections. And it's just a great time to just let your hair down and just experience, enjoy, and relax. So I would love to invite you all to come out. I have tickets on sale now. So definitely send me a message any way that you can on social media, and I'll make sure to send you the link.
And I'm going to be there.
Yes.
I bought my ticket.
Yeah, she was at I had my first summer fiesta, which I will have every year moving forward because I just loved it. So I have about 4 events every year, 4 events every year, one every quarter. So one's a spa day, one is the winery, one is a vision board party in January, and one is the summer CEO fiesta.
See, we have amazing guests here. And I want to know, this is the last thing I'm going to ask you. That's not true. I'm going to ask you plenty more stuff. But how can I serve you in your community? How can we help you to do something in your community? And you don't have to answer now if you don't have anything, but I want to be of service to you as you have been of service to our community. So, the world is your oyster.
Wow, I have so many things. But of course, coming out and taking that time out for you is really important. It's what I love to do. I am looking for more women. If it's you, if it's someone that come on out and celebrate you. These are celebration events of yourself. But also, as well as I have a major trip coming up in February where I'm going to be going to Africa again for a second time.
Oh, you
And
are?
I am. This is going to be something ongoing that I'll be going every year.
Is it Ghana? Did you go to Ghana?
I'll be going to the Gambia, which is
Okay.
on the western coast of Africa.
Okay.
If you follow me on social media, I'm going to be asking for people to support the people of the Gambia. They make about $50 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, $50 a month.
Oh my.
$50 a day sounds more like United States, right? But $50 a month. So I am going to work in the hospital there. to help the kids there. They have young people becoming physical therapists, and I'll be teaching there and helping them. So if you see something about that, please, if you have $10 to donate, can you imagine how much $10 would go if they make $50
Yeah.
a month? And these, I'm talking about, this is a person with a family and kids that's making
Wow.
$50 a
Yeah.
month. So those are just some of the things that I have going on. But come out to my events, come meet me in person, say hello, follow me on my social media. I'm looking to grow my community.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to do that. And make sure you send me the link for Gambia when you start registering, because I'll
Okay.
email it out.
Okay.
And
Oh
those
my
who are able to
gosh.
support, they can support, because at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't have because we don't ask, right? And
Yeah.
as one of my coaches says, there's somebody out there waiting for what we have to offer, but they may never get it because we never made the offer.
Right.
So hang tight for a second. I'm going to close this out.
Okay.
And but it was a joy having you. I look forward to having you back. Not that we haven't been circling around in a
Of
bunch of
course.
different circles together, but just
Yeah.
getting on and having a conversation where people can benefit from the conversations that we have behind,
Thank you
closed
so much
doors to
for having me.
benefit.
Thank
So I look forward to having you back. Maybe you can
Absolutely.
bring you back after Gambia. That would be
Of course.
amazing.
Yeah.
So hang back for a second.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us again here on Going From Chaos to Calm with your finances, unblocking your path to wealth. It has been an incredible journey again here today with our wonderful guest, Dr. Neema Moore. Please be sure to connect with her at Dr. Neema Moore DC on all platforms, and her website, Dr. spelled out Neema.com. She would love for you to come out. And most of all, I would love for you to take advantage of the opportunity to find a place of bliss and go from burnout in your life. Because here we're all about change and transformation. So remember, this is just the beginning of our conversations and your financial journey. But we're going to do this together. Be sure to connect with me so that you can stay connected with like-minded individuals. In the chat, you'll see a link to join my community on Facebook so that you can be with other women who are like you, who are working on their finances, working on themselves, and becoming the best woman that they are. So again, mark your calendars, 8:30 every Monday night. We go live except for holiday Mondays. But I think I'm going to have a special episode in September. But before we go, don't forget, keep the conversation going in the chat. If you want to join one of my master classes, I am starting to hold master classes every other Tuesday, starting tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. You can go to joinsaran.com and you should be able to be added to the masterclass, or just shoot me a DM or comment on this and I will shoot you the link to register, because it's not just about talking about it. It's about getting the work done. And so in those master classes, we're going to go to a place where we're going to start to have the conversation to unravel ways that you can leverage your money. You can get out of debt. You can learn ways to invest for not just now, but for a couple of generations. You can learn ways to reduce your stress financially because you have an emergency fund. You're going to learn ways to get rid of those ghost expenses. I got rid of some ghost expenses today. I didn't know I had. It was about $21.98. I didn't even know I had these subscriptions. I was like, I don't even use things. So doing smart things with our money so that we can do the things we really love, and we can redirect it to things like self-care activities and finding the things that bring us joy. So again, it's your girl Saran. Peace, love, and light. Let's get your money right.
Oh, I love that. Peace and money right. Get your